This is the abuse I get all the time. Oi. Ah! So when I was struggling, the why questions I was asking were like, why is this happening? Why do people not understand? Why is this so hard? So a lot of kind of unfairness type stuff that I was feeling. Looking back on it, I just can't believe I didn't really notice earlier. Because we even had a lunch and learn where they talked about depression and anxiety. And I thought, wow, I've got all of those symptoms. And I said to my colleague who was sitting next to me, I think I've got all those symptoms. And she said, yeah, me too. So we both thought, well, it must be normal then. So we both went back to our desk and carried on. My whole story started probably in 2018. At that time we had a very big restructuring starting at work. So new bosses, people going to be made redundant. But we didn't know when that would impact or how many people would lose their jobs, so very stressful for everybody. Around the same time my wife Mary got really chronic asthma, so she was hospitalized with her asthma, like 9 days. And that was quite serious and very drastically affected her lifestyle, like her ability to do sport and all the stuff that she loves, so that was quite tough. Normally I do a lot of water sports, so at that time, around the same time, we had Typhoon Mangkhut, and that destroyed all of our equipment, so instead of being a source of kind of relief, that became very stressful because then we had to buy new equipment, and that took months and we couldn't do our sport, and then all the social connection that comes with that disappeared as well. And then I think the next thing that happened was we had the social unrest in Hong Kong. The tear gas would have been very dangerous for my wife. She would have been straight to hospital if she got caught in that. Then we bought our flat here in Wan Chai, so that's very expensive, and we spent a bit more than our budget, and then I was kind of stressing about retirement planning and pension planning and all that, so quite a big stressor as well. And then we had the COVID, so Mary's doctor said if she gets COVID, she would definitely die. Almost certainly she would die from COVID. This was before we had the vaccine. That's basically what happened. So it happened over about an 18-month period, quite a long period of time. So just kind of a lot of different factors all coming together. Didn't really know what was going on. I just knew I was getting really grumpy and feeling like I wasn't on top of stuff, and always kind of chasing around, not really struggling to focus, and I had a really upset tummy all the time, things like that. But really what then happened was I went to my doctor, just my local GP, and I said, look, I just cannot sleep. I go to bed at maybe 10, be wide awake at 1:30, and that'll be it. Could not get back to sleep at all, so maybe 3 hours a night if I was lucky. And like I said, the upset tummy just got quite annoying and unbearable. So I just went to my GP about those two things and was diagnosed with depression and anxiety and anorexia, as well as insomnia. And then she said, have you thought about seeing a psychiatrist? And I just kind of nearly cried with relief, because then I realized that actually was probably what I needed. It was not just a physical thing. There was mental health issues going on, and I just hadn't really been aware of it. I hadn't realised how serious it was. So one of the symptoms for me was avoidance. So I didn't want to go to any sort of social events, or if I went, I would just find a reason to leave early, or just leave early and not even tell anybody. And I didn't feel like I wanted to talk to my family, actually. I didn't want to talk to my mum because I knew she would see that I wasn't that well, and I didn't know what to say because I didn't know myself what was really going on. So that was kind of tough. And actually the first time my family found out about it was when they read my post on LinkedIn. So that was my way of getting my story out, and then of course they were very supportive and so on. But yeah, I couldn't find a way to talk to them for whatever reason. So it's just too difficult for me. Yeah, medication for the sleep was one, and that took that took several months of really taking the medication and then trying to consistent bedtime, consistent wake up time. So managing the sleep was a really important part of the whole story. I got referred to a psychologist and we did a talk therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy, because I got into a lot of kind of negative thinking patterns. So kind of making assumptions about what I thought people were thinking about me, or catastrophizing, which is like always assuming the worst thing is going to happen. And various sort of things around self-worth and value and all of that. And that was really helpful in terms of just helping me to reframe some of that and look at objectively, a little more objectively, actually, what is really going on around me, as opposed to making those negative assumptions. I did a bit of journaling. I'll just write down like one nice experience that I've had today and a few things that I was grateful for. Acts of kindness as well, so where can I do something, just a small nice little gesture for somebody else. And then meditation as well, so part of the process for me was just noticing some of those feelings and negative thoughts that were happening, and just being okay with that. Okay, it's just a thought, it's just a feeling, it's just happening. And I don't need to react on it, I don't need to act it out, I don't need to get angry, I don't need to get frustrated or whatever. And I still do my yoga regularly, I walk my little dog, I do my sport, I'm still trying to learn Cantonese. So yeah, so I kind of keep those routines and disciplines going. I found that taking that all as a package, it did help me to move on. But I think the most important thing is now I'm much more aware of how I'm doing. I have just a lot less stress in my life now generally. So there's a number of different factors, so it's a constant monitoring and awareness. So just having that awareness and knowing the strategies is really what makes the difference. Having talked to other people, that's very common that when you get to the sort of position that I was in, it can take 6 or 12 months to really feel better again, and you've got to keep working at it. It's like an everyday practice. It's not something that you can pop a few pills and get better. There's a lot of different things you have to do to really recover properly. But you can recover, that's the good news. So, you just need a bit of help. The what questions I would wish I had asked would be like, what's really going on here? What am I missing? What help do I need? Or what can I do about this, or what can I change? So I think the what questions tend to lead you to feel more in control, and like you've got a forward sense of direction, whereas the why questions, tends to take you back into that sort of negative, and either blaming self, blaming other people, and so that tends to make your condition worse potentially. Whereas if you focus on the what can I do about this, and what help do I need, that will take you in a much more positive direction in my experience.